What up, everybody? Welcome back to the 20 podcast. I'm your host, DJ Spider. Thank you. What is going on, Beatsourcers? Welcome back. Our show is brought to you by Beatsource, the music streaming service for DJs that play everything. Beatsource has got all the music you could need for every gig. We got all the expertly curated playlists, songs no other record pools have, custom edits, so much more. Visit Beatsource.com for a free 30-day trial or use the code THE20 to bump it up to a 60-day trial. Plus, we've been on Twitch. Check out Fridays. Kid Spin has been on there making edits, and actually, I love his show. It's been super educational and really dope. So shout out to Beatsource and the whole team over there. Thank you for letting us do this. Make sure you rate and review the podcast on the Apple Podcast app. Help us go up the charts. And we are available on all platforms. If you want to watch us on YouTube, you want to check us on Spotify, or you listen to Google Podcasts. I don't know who you are, but more power to you. You could actually peep it on there. Stitcher. Come on, you're one of those people. You guys, today, it's a special day. It's something that we're doing for the first time. Today, for the first time, we've got a returning guest. That's right. We've never had that before. We've always had for the first time. But now, we've got a returning guest. We've had this person on 2 years ago. So a lot has happened since then, including a pandemic. You may have heard of that. A lot of major shifts in the culture. So many things have happened. People have passed away, unfortunately. A lot has gone on. So we discuss all that stuff. We talk about what he's been up to for the past 2 years, his new management, his residency at Zouk Las Vegas, switching from Serato to REKORDBOX, new music he's produced, and so much more. We just get deep into the weeds of this DJ shit, and I think you're going to enjoy it. And, you know, although this guest is not maybe as old as some of the other OGs in the game, he has been there since the start. He has many experiences and stories from the DJ AM days and beyond. You will hear it in this episode. He's one of the top open format DJs in the game, and, you know, one of my favorites. He does some of the most high profile nightclubs, private events, and beyond in the game. And now he's DJing and curating the music at one of LA's most exclusive clubs, Off Sunset, and you get to hear a little info about that in there. So I'm so happy I got to sit down with him again and have him on the show and catch up with him, hear what he's been doing, and hear what he had been doing the past couple years. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of this interview. So please welcome to the show, DJ Politik. For the first time in our entire existence as a podcast, we've got a second-time guest on the show.
Oh, I didn't realize I'm the second guest. Wow,
you're the
honored.
first second guest.
I'm honored.
Yes. I mean, we've been talking for a while. I was saying we need to bring some of the guests back. Like, so much has changed, but also just people have been doing new things. You know, even if we hadn't had the whole COVID pandemic thing, I want to start bringing people back. So you're the second one. I thought it was only
I'm
right.
honored. Yeah.
I mean, you're the first one to be the second
right.
guest. That's what it is.
I mean, it's a completely different world.
Yes,
than it
but
was
DJ Politik, I don't even know if I even said your name yet.
Oh, yeah,
so
of course.
Give it up, everybody. Here we go. Applause going on. So welcome back. I got an alert in my phone last month in February that said 2 years ago today, and it was me and you.
You
at
sent me
the
that,
Beatsource office, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, we've been through so much since that date.
It's crazy, actually, like looking back, but it also kind of feels like time is just like,
it's,
you know,
like warped,
right?
In this weird way where it's almost like an era. It's like a lifetime ago, and it's also 5 minutes ago. It's like so
I was at the Laker game last night and talking to my friend, and Lakers won the championship only a year and a half ago.
Right.
But it was like the 2020 season, and it feels like a lifetime ago.
It really does.
Crazy, but
I mean, that's because of how they're playing and stuff.
Yeah,
they're
playing awful. They're playing.
My son just like can't stop talking about Russell Westbrook the whole time.
Yeah, it's
we'll watch the game
subject.
And he's like, "Don't pass it to Russell Westbrook, whatever you do."
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
And he's 9 years old. I'm like, okay, you're right.
Like I've been a season ticket holder finally for like a few years. Yeah, and I was on the waiting list for basically like 10 years or something.
Right.
You know, like I never could get tickets. And then
nuts.
Kobe retired and I finally got tickets.
Yeah.
And I've just been getting like reamed on my tickets. I can't make any money off of them. I can't even sell them for face value.
And how crazy is that? Because last year you were it's almost guaranteed if you get season tickets, you'd be able to resell some of the games.
I mean,
and
it's
now
kind
it's
of like
just,
an investment.
I was going to say it's like a stock that's just you're watching go down.
And it's horrible, but I don't know. Hopefully they'll figure something out. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they'll get Bronny to come on the team or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. So we've been through a lot. I actually was trying to remember what we talked about on the last podcast, and I couldn't remember all of it. And so I went back, I listened to some of it, and 2 years ago, we used to play songs in the beginning of the podcast, and we would go through it. And so I was going through, and I'm like, last time we spoke, it was pre-COVID. We didn't even talk about it. We barely knew anything about it. We listened to a Pop Smoke song. I think "Welcome to the Party" or something, and me and you went over it. He was
still alive,
and he was still alive.
Oh my God.
So we talked. It was just very casual, talking about like, "Yo, Pop Smoke does this and that. Like this, he's this guy." And you were talking about like, you know, the production sounds so futuristic, and it was so weird to listen to that. You know,
it's so crazy to think again, like how much has changed in that 2 years. Because I thought he was such a fresh air for hip hop. You know, and you look at hip hop now. I mean, if you look at like all the Billboard charts and everything. Hip hop isn't charting like it was pre-pandemic,
right?
You know, which we could get into. I have some theories on why that is, and we could talk about that. But but Pop Smoke was really the most exciting hip hop artist in a while.
I know,
you know, and just like that, and that whole sound kind of died.
Probably
with him.
1 month after we recorded was, I think, when he was killed or something. I'm not sure, but it was not too long after.
It wasn't too long after.
Because I remember it was right when the pandemic started, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't too long after. It was actually right next door. My buddy's parents live on Mount Olympus, right next door. I was going to say,
it was like right by where I live. I drive by that place all the time on Mount Olympus.
Right next door to my parents, my friend's parents' place.
Right.
And it's crazy. There's actually a LA Times article that came out like a few months ago that talks about how they caught the killers.
Right.
And like the way that they caught them, it's a crazy article. If anyone hasn't read it, just Google Pop Smoke, LA Times, killers. Okay. And the way that they caught them, it's like some crazy James Bond shit.
Oh my God.
They were like using the cell phone towers and the security cameras of the neighbors, and they traced like where the cell phone was coming from, and then they got someone to like rat on the killers in jail. They bugged a jail cell and like got someone to admit that they did it. Wild, but yeah, that's how they got him.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I've never read that. I gotta check it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact, I mean, I remember that when that went down, and listening back to the podcast, we were kind of like, this is dope, you know, like it's hard to mix in the club. Like it was just so weird to listen to, you know, pre-COVID, pre-Pop Smoke dying. The Sunset at the Edition had just opened because we were talking about going there, which it just reopened, like I guess this week. We just got a text
2 years
message.
later.
We were talking about Kanye. It was before, you know, not that he hasn't always been a certain way, but he was in no way what has happened in the past couple of years, you know, and like the way we were talking about him then, you were just talking about how like you used to love his production, and it was just such a different conversation, you know. So coming back 2 years later, it's crazy. And I just finally got to see you DJ probably for the first time in a couple years a few weeks ago, like for that Super Bowl party. Went to this Don Julio 1942 party, and it was Politik, Mark Ronson, and then some surprise performances from Inspector Deck and Master Killa, which was
so cool.
Definitely like, wait, what's happening? Oh, this is incredible. He's like, I bomb atomically, and we're like, oh my God. This is
that was like a real treat for me because he's really one of my heroes, Mark, and obviously Wu-Tang.
Right.
But like all these years we had actually never met in person.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which was so crazy, but also like I never really wanted to force and like make like a effort to do it because I just like shit to happen naturally.
Of course.
But we grew up with Samantha, with his little sister.
Yeah.
And I like finally met him and got to chop it up with him. And it was so cool because I like walked into his trailer and he was, you know, wow, I can't believe we never met. Great to finally meet you.
Yeah.
Like, what do I play tonight? I don't even know like what to play tonight. I'm so out of the loop with
That's what he's saying?
Yeah, with like what's good in the clubs. Like you're probably DJing a couple times a week in LA like I used to in New York. And I'm like, actually, you know, I'm only playing at one place now.
Right.
I'm curating all the music at Off Sunset, which is the old Hyde space.
Nice.
The OG Hyde before it became SB and
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. I mean, and you're not allowed to like take pictures and all that. So I've never seen anything from it.
Yeah, we got to get you in there, by the way, because you would totally understand like the whole vibe. Yeah,
I got to come when you're DJing. Maybe this weekend if you're there.
Yeah, I'm there Friday.
Okay.
So anyway, like I told him, listen, all I've been playing recently, like since things started to open back up, is like what you were playing probably in like 2005. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been so nostalgic. DJing and what crowds want to hear has been so nostalgic since we kind of started to really open. I feel like 2021, we kind of opened, the world kind of opened, but then it was like this variant, then that variant.
Right.
Really only Florida, I think, stayed open the whole time.
No, like, Florida and Texas probably,
And, you know, everywhere else, it was kind of wishy-washy. Even Vegas, I think, was not really, didn't really feel like Vegas.
No.
But now things are just like back. Like I really feel like, especially in LA too, like I feel like
I feel like that night, literally that I saw you was like the kickoff, like Super Bowl weekend in LA was like, okay, masks are coming off, parties are happening, some of the restrictions are being ignored or whatever it is. Like at this point, let's get back to normal, you know, or what, not normal, but let's get back to like life, you know?
Yeah. But that was super cool. Like him just being so humble and, you know, like he's in such a different mind space now being the super producer guy that he is.
Right.
But like obviously still has that like DJing foundation and loves to talk about it. And I tweeted a part of a podcast. He did a podcast with Pharrell and Scott Venner.
Yeah. Other Tone.
Yeah. And he just breaks down sort of like how DJing was so important to him developing as a producer.
Yeah.
And I just like shared that one clip on my Twitter and he like followed me and retweeted it.
Oh,
and I thought that was really cool because like at the point he's at in his career, he doesn't need to care about DJing and like all this stuff, but he does respect the fact that like that's where he comes from.
Yeah.
Like we do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're like aspiring producers for the most part. Most DJs want to start producing and stuff. So hearing someone at that level, I mean, he's won Grammy record song of the year. He's literally
crazy
at the mountaintops of not just DJing, but like all of music, you know what I mean? And him just still like being appreciative and sensitive to like DJ culture is really cool. I think, you know?
I agree. Yeah. He doesn't forget that. And I mean, just from my interactions with him too, like I definitely learned the lesson of it doesn't matter how big you are, how much you've accomplished, you will always have that feeling of like, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing or something, you know, like, cause I remember seeing him right after he got chosen just to be the like house band for the VMAs or something. And he's like, I can't believe this. I feel like my mom called and made them, you know, let me do this. And then when he did Uptown Funk and I'm like, oh my God, you're killing it. You know, I saw him somewhere in Vegas and said like, it's so huge. And he's like, all I'm thinking is like, what's next? How do I follow this up? And it's like, you're that stressed out that you've had such a huge, and
that
hit.
There's a crazy story behind that record. He worked on it for like a long time. I want to say like a year and a half or 2 years, like on one song. You know, like insane amount of revisions and mixing. And I want to say I read somewhere that he was like locking himself in the studio for like days at a time.
That's crazy.
You know, like people worried about him. Like, but you know, that song.
But that song is the ultimate sort of ode to DJing because that's all the recognizable things.
It's a masterpiece, you know, and it got all its flowers that it deserved. And like I always say, I'm like, as a DJ producer, I mean, as a producer in general, like if you make a song that somehow becomes like a staple at like weddings and like bar mitzvahs and like these types of life events where like people all come together and like love it, that's like the pinnacle. Like that's like you made a classic. You're going down in the history books forever, you know?
Yes.
And that's like, that's really ultimately the goal. And that's the kind of work it takes, you know, like a year and a half working on one song. It's crazy.
And I don't know if he was the first DJ to play at Super Bowl, but don't forget, he performed that at Super Bowl.
He did.
Remember?
He
was up there with turntables scratching. I remember being like, this is nuts. So
I forgot about that.
I remember I saw a clip of it recently, and then I'm like, because the Dr. Dre show was so incredible, and then I watched that back, the Mark Ronson. I'm like, oh wow, I forgot. That's so crazy.
Yeah, and the series he did on Apple too, on Apple TV.
Yeah. Watch the Sound, I think it's called.
Good.
So
good. My God. So good. It's like,
yeah, he's been putting in work, and he has a podcast, his own now, on the Fader that he does.
Yeah, I
where he
listen to
interviews
it every
people.
now and
So
then. Yeah.
he's doing all of it.
Fucking man.
But seeing him that night was fun, and actually hearing that he was talking to you about that, what to play. I remember one of the first times I met him, and I opened for him at LAX for a BPM party.
This is before the Next on the Decks?
I won Next on the Decks that like 2 days before, and then that Thursday or Wednesday, they go be at LAX, DJ AM's club, and you're going to open for Mark Ronson.
What year was that?
2006, I want to say.
So I was 17 or 18 maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, crazy.
So I remember like Matt Colin was like through the BPM parties and was like, we're doing the party on Wednesday at LAX at AM's club. You're going to open for Mark Ronson. You won the contest. I'm like, what? This is crazy. So I remember I go and I opened for him, kind of similar, to your
I want to say I must have like been there because I was there like every week.
Right.
And
possibly,
I was, with a fake ID, just like sneaking in.
Because
I was already kind of in the mix with Dexstar, with LV and all of them, and I was just like sneaking in to LAX.
This was even pre-Dexstar, I think. Yeah. Like I had just met AM and LV recently, and then AM was like, "Oh shit, you're DJing at my club," and I'm like, "Yeah, I won this contest," and like it was like all this weird coming together. But I remember right before Mark went on, he came in the booth and he was like, "I've been hearing you DJ. How do you have all these custom edits and mashups, and how do you even have time for this?" And I was like, I've been trying to get booked. I have no gigs right now. You know what I mean? I DJ in like a bar, so all I have time is to make these edits and stuff, but it was the same kind of thing. Like, I'm trying to figure out what to play. And, but he killed it that night, the 1942 thing a couple weeks ago. Like, he did his classic mixes, like Gin and Juice, like they ain't leaving till 6 in the morning, and then boom into Uchi Wally with the Nas, and then everything worked. He played his own. He played Ooh-Wee. He played his own shit. He was playing all his like classic mixes.
Him and AM are like yin and yang. Like
totally.
Like AM is like, I think it's like Diplo calls him like the Iron Man of DJing. He's just like can do anything. And, like is so technical in this, and Mark is kind of just like has the best taste, and like we'll just have these subtle little transitions and pick these songs and make these like moments. It's like more New York in a way. Yeah, totally. But they're just like both so equally important in like the realm of DJing. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be a turntablist to be an incredible DJ, and he's like the epitome of that.
Yeah, I agree. It was like I told you, I think, a story that night at the party of when right after that LAX thing, I went and opened for them in Miami at Mansion for Winter Music Conference, and it turned out to be DJ AM versus Mark Ronson, and I went on before them, but then getting to watch them both play, I saw exactly what you're saying, and watching AM do the mashups and the West Coast style and the scratching and all of that, and then I remember thinking, what is Mark Ronson going to do after this? I wouldn't even know what I would do, and then he got on and did the dropping and the surprise mixes and the wordplay and the very New York stuff, and then reading the crowd and seeing that Timbaland had a table and the Neptunes, Pharrell had a table, and he did a whole set of all Timbaland and then all Pharrell, and really work the crowd like that. And just I got like a lifetime of DJ education just that night, 100%. And also was able to see the yin and the yang, and how two completely different things can be just as dope and add so much.
AM was definitely more of like the showman, and Mark was more of like the calculated like assassin.
I was going to say the calculated killer.
It's like, okay, I see who's in this room. Like, I'm going to get both of these tables. And he would do that also in New York at all the clubs he would DJ at, like when Puff would be there and like the whole Bad Boy crew, and then Rockefeller and Jay-Z.
Yeah.
But like, that's what got him the notoriety, what I mean? Because you have to have the knowledge of music to be able to even do that, you know what I mean? Totally. And on vinyl too, it's like, are you kidding me?
I know. Yeah, that was like the transition time of vinyl into Serato.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that party was super fun. You killed it.
Thank you.
And, I got to I hadn't seen you DJ in a minute, but also I hadn't seen you DJ fully on REKORDBOX, which is interesting. I think it'll be interesting to the the audience too. You know, no computer. You were on CDJ 3000s. What mixer? It was like
It was the 900. Yeah.
And you were just strictly on REKORDBOX, but it was a very open format set. I mean, you were playing everything from Curtis Blow to, I don't know, like Blondie to.
I actually I recorded that set. I'm gonna put it out soon.
Okay, you should.
Yeah, I have it even opened it actually. I've been using this like
what did you record on?
This like Tascam recorder.
Nice.
I think there's a way to do it from the mixer.
Yeah.
You plug it into your phone or something.
Oh yeah, but I would trust the Tascam more. I want to have my phone and it rings or it goes and you're texting your friend or you know,
so I just like been recording sets on there. I got to start posting some more of these live sets, but that was a really good one.
Yeah, it was dope.
I wanted to record Mark's too, but they had us on two different setups. But I'm gonna post that one.
That was the only bad thing about that night was that long ass transition, and they put on like Pushin' P off a playlist where it was like so much lower volume. So it was like you were killing it, and it was that thing where it was a very hard to get in party. So those type of people aren't necessarily the most enthusiastic. Yeah. Also, they're not the most enthusiastic like dance sing along crowd.
True,
like
you got to work.
They're so damn cool that they're at their table and like they're hoping people are looking at them or whatever. So you know, we had to build
the vibe.
You had to really build the vibe. It's not like in the middle of nowhere. So you had done it and you were getting up to that point and it had that like bubbling feeling. Yep. And then they just put on a playlist and low volume, and it all got lost. And then but then Wu-Tang came on.
Yeah, those situations are tricky when like Mark has a tour manager that like when you get to that level, it's like once you do your sound check, like nobody's touching your shit. Totally. And I don't blame him for that. And then the Wu-Tang dudes had their own setup,
of course.
And it's like when you're three different acts, it's just kind of like almost unavoidable unless you like. Unless I literally went there and coordinated with the entire team a week before and somehow figured it out. But like, it
was still cool, but it was like for a flow of the night. It was like, yo, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. Like we care about that. Yeah. Because like, again, we're like seasoned enough to understand.
The only people that noticed were DJs. Like DJ Kiss and MOS came in like, what's happening in here? And I was like, no, I'm like, it's a playlist. Politik was killing it. I had to explain to them what was happening.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
But dope night. And so, so I see you're on REKORDBOX. So, and then you told me you haven't used a computer to DJ in like a year or something.
So, what I've been really doing since pandemic, obviously we had a lot of free time on our hands.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like maybe we talked about this in the last podcast, but like I've always been very organized with my music.
Right.
I organize all my music in iTunes. I use, the grouping category in the ID3 tag or whatever to like make keywords for certain genres and certain playlists. And I have smart playlists that basically have rules. So like if I type in rap anthem, that and the genre has club in it, it'll go into my like club rap like main crate. So that's how I like build my library. So like I was just going through my library like I normally do, just cleaning stuff up. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I don't really need Serato anymore in terms of like organizing and stuff. Like my crates are organized well enough to start using REKORDBOX.
Yeah.
And then when the 3000s, because I had already been playing on REKORDBOX on the 2000s, like just have an SD card in my wallet. And if there's like a house party, I would just like hop on.
Yeah.
But, you told me we talked about this in the last podcast, the 2000s just weren't fast enough.
Right.
To like play in a club environment where like we as open format DJs tend to mix really quickly or need to find a song really quickly and search. Right. When you have Serato right there, your computer, you're just like moving so quickly and can find stuff so fast.
Yeah.
The 2000s just were not allowing me to do that. And then when these new 3000s came out, it was night and day. All the features that I wanted in the CDJs, they added everything, from the instant doubles, some people like to scratch more with, their left hand on the platter. And with the 2000s, you could never switch the song over to the left CDJ or right or vice versa.
You'd have to like load it, make sure you can go to the time. It was impossible.
Time for that, yeah. So they added that. They added, the key shift feature is cool where you could literally like live remix, load an acapella, change the pitch on the fly, and then put you know, another song in the same pitch over it.
Right.
And then the other thing we were just talking about before this, we were messing around on 3000s is on the 2000s, if the first cue point is close to the beginning of the song, you can't like move the CDJ back.
Yeah.
Where like you have enough space to kind of cut.
It's like you're hitting a wall.
Yeah, you're hitting a wall.
Yeah.
And so they fixed that. So they fixed everything. And, you know, most importantly, they're so fast now. And the screen is so much bigger that you could see everything and you can scroll and search quickly and move quickly. So now I'm just I'm fully on.
Yeah, you can type pretty fast. I mean, you were just showing me, like we said, in the other room, we have a V10, Pioneer V10 mixer, which is nuts. We were just trying to learn all the features.
It's amazing. It's a little overkill for like what we do, but
yeah. I was saying, I saw DJ Equal had to open for Pete Tong recently, and they had one with no crossfader.
That's insane.
I guess that's not a big American DJ thing. But we got the V10 and the 3000s, and we were just messing with it, and you were showing me the key lock thing and the there's just so many features, but having that space in the beginning.
Yeah, so it's not actually key lock. It's you can shift the key. So basically like you have an acapella that's like in F minor, and you're mixing into a song that's in like I don't know, like C major or something. You can shift the acapella to go to that pitch and match the pitch. So basically you can harmonically mix anything. So it's like you have Ableton basically, or, you know, Serato sample. It's like another cool sampler that, you know, people use to pitch shift stuff.
Right.
But it's like you have that at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So you could do like live remixing basically. And then I've seen some people even use it to do build-ups.
Right.
Like to use it because, you know, as you're, you know, turning the pitch up, it starts to kind of sound like a build-up.
Yeah. Especially if you have it looping or something. Yeah.
So just like a lot of cool new features that you could get creative, especially with dance music, you know, like with the build-ups and, you know, using the loops and doing all that kind of stuff. I think it's really like opened up more creativity, you know, with all that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that like people like us that have been, you know, open format DJs and come from the scratch world and watching people like AM and Mark Ronson, and, you know, we've always implemented that into our sets. It's a little bit different now when you're DJing out at spots because not as many people either can see you or know what you're doing or care that you're scratching. And not that I don't love scratching, I love it, you know, but I do think practicing other techniques can be more useful in these clubs. Or when you're headlining a massive Vegas club, nobody can see your hands anymore. They don't know what you're doing. And if you do a crazy long scratch solo, I don't know if it goes over the same way. But if you figure out creative ways to transition through the songs and harmonically and just take them on a journey in a new way and utilize our techniques from then, now it's kind of like, that's a cool thing to practice.
For sure. And overall, you know, those big clubs, like you said, they've evolved so much to where like the clubs are built for big big drops and these like big buildups and moments and things. And like a lot of the routines and scratches that we would do, or like you would really do, and AM and guys like that, were not over. It wasn't really over like that kind of music. It was more like hip hop and pop and rock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just evolved, you know, like the music that's played in clubs has just evolved so much. And if you're not keeping up, like if you don't have like an edit of whatever the hottest rap song is, or over like a new tech house version or whatever it is, you're just going to lose the crowd, you know? And if, it's different now, but you know, AM and guys that really scratched a lot that made it work were really kind of like emphasizing it. So like we were talking about it, like AM had his own custom loops, like Fat Man Scoop, AM, Fat Man Scoops. And if you cut all the music off and just play the acapella and put a beat over it and then start scratching, people are going to notice that. So like that's really the way to do it if you're going to still do your scratch routines and do all that stuff.
Right.
But again, like he was so good at scratching. Like I can't do those routines, you know what I mean? So like I have to figure out other ways to create those moments, you know, and you know, in a new way. So.
Right. And getting feedback from the crowd is part of what makes DJing fun, you know. So if you're still doing the same shit and it's not working, then it's fun to develop new shit, and learn and figure out new ways to energize the crowd and then energize yourself and be like, yo, I never used to do crazy loop build-up things. And just like we were experimenting, and you know, after James Hype came on and showed me the trans effect and you can do the tempo change, and I'm like, I want to learn new shit so I can bust it out at the club comfortably.
Yeah, well, also a lot of DJs I think have started before there was like a big divide in like, oh, I'm a rap and like open format DJ, and like, oh, the dance DJs, they're like not real DJs or whatever. But like that's such a like ignorant, small-minded perspective on it, because like DJing in Europe, like DJ culture in Europe and like around the world is like so much more advanced, and like not advanced, but like it's been so much more part of their culture than it has here. You know, like in the UK, it's like DJs have been superstars for way longer than they've been here, you know?
Yeah.
And that is, you know, DJing dance music and house music is a whole different art form, you know?
Right.
In terms of like the blending and the effects and the way that they, you know, mix, it's just so different. And if you can incorporate some of that as like an open format DJ into your sets, it's almost just like you're doing your homework in a way, especially if you're playing in a big room where there's like, you know, you have the sound system, you have the lighting, you have all the production to like make cool moments during a build up, or like do like live, you know, like blends and stuff like that. That's just like, I think where it's gone is like, you have to sort of like incorporate those techniques that the dance DJs are doing. Because they're great techniques. And
totally.
You know,
And it's like you said, things are experience based now. I mean, they always have been, but now more than ever. Like, you know, when I'm in Vegas, like I'm just going to start with in a big room, like with the biggest possible song ever, you know, because they're going to spray cryo and confetti and all that shit's louder than the music anyway. So it's like, just have some bit, you know, they got flags going and girls dancing and guys jumping on and stilts, and you just want to give them, it's like a circus at that point. You want to give them the experience, you know, and then after a little bit, okay, they want the sing-along songs and all that stuff, but you're creating this massive experience, you know, and you got to be on the mic and telling them what to do. And, you know, we never used to have to do all that. So,
I've really started to use a lot more effects and cool little, just like adding spice into certain parts of records, you know what I mean? Like, and it took time to really kind of figure out, like, because you don't want to overdo it either, just like with scratching, you don't want to overdo it, but it's cool. I think it really does, it makes your sets more dynamic, you know what I mean? And like, it's all about dynamics in music to me, because otherwise like people just get bored. Even when you're making songs,
It's true. I mean, that's why, as much as people don't like it, why EDM or whatever you call it, like, works, because it has just the very basics of the dynamics of drop out, come back. You know, it's just like up, down, up, down. Other music is more complex like that. And as open format DJs, we have multiple genres to create those up, downs. And so people that are good at it. But also, we've been trained, no offense to the record pools, you know, out there, but with the advent of intros, we've been trained in a way to be like 4-bar, 8-bar intro, and I will mix the intro, and every song has to have an intro. And we forgot that when I was on records, there was no intro unless I got like a couple, like a random 12-inch that made an intro and pressed it. But I had to figure out how to mix the record in, which brought in the dynamics with the crowd and the up and down and the stuff, and whether I had to use the mic or the reverb or an echo or whatever I'm doing. And so people, you know, I've been trying a lot more when I play hip hop now to use the original versions when I can.
Intros for
sometimes it's good if I want something, but I noticed that sometimes my like trap hip hop sets were a bit stagnant, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I realized, oh, I'm just playing the intro into the song, and it's too smooth for the crowd. Like, everything sounds the same already, so they're getting to the point where like it's just the same thing over and over. You know.
I mean, that's again about the dynamics in a set. Like, I use some intros too, of course, but like I mean, for the most part, I really try and play like the original versions.
Right.
Find a part in the song I'm mixing out of that just works.
It just gives you a different feeling. Like if you play the intro version of YG the one with like the crazy synth intro, like BPT or whatever it is. Yeah. Like the intro version is just it's so different. Instead, like I was in Vegas and I was like, boom, echo out or reverb out, like who's from the West Coast or something like that, and then you play that, and then you can go into a West Coast set and decide when to do it. And same with like Chance the Rapper, No Problem, or songs that have that feeling of like boom, rather than just
and as DJs, like good DJs, I think can decipher which intro. It's like, imagine you hear a DJ that plays like an intro version of like International Players Anthem or some shit.
Right.
It's like the whole point of the song is the intro. Right.
And that's the dynamic
part
of it.
Or next episode, Dre, or it's like,
why are you doing that?
That's the whole magic
you would
of
get
the song.
A way bigger reaction, even having a horrible transition and just going into that intro. Than
even like short edits too. I don't understand. Like a lot of DJs and producers do short edits of songs, and sometimes I'm just like, let the song breathe.
Right, let it breathe. Or what if I want to decide when to cut this off or not?
Right. Yeah, I never download those like short. Like maybe hook first sometimes.
Yeah.
Grab off
sometimes the house music ones are good if you gotta blow through them quick, know. But same. Even those, I'd rather have the extended of the house music, because then I got the intro, I got the drum intro, and then I can decide and put 8 cue points or whatever.
Yeah, it's like they make these edits like for like DJing for dummies or something. It's
right.
Like
that is what some of them are for.
Let the DJs figure out,
if they need it or not.
How to mix the songs in. I mean, I think that's like probably why a lot of young DJs just like aren't good, because they're skipping all these steps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. And they don't realize it takes a while to even get comfortable DJing and be good and know all the things,
Yep.
Like, what about when you're on REKORDBOX, you don't have a sampler? I guess that's one difference of Serato. Are there any other differences that you notice, or any like cons that you wish you could bring from Serato into REKORDBOX?
So I actually use a third CDJ as a sampler.
Okay.
So I have like a folder that just has a bunch of acapella loops.
Got it.
And some sound effects that I just keep. The 3000s have 8 hot cues.
Yeah.
So it's basically, I have like a bank of 8 samples, and you can actually, load up, figure out how to load even more. And Pioneer even makes like a sampler now. I don't know if you've seen it.
Right.
But it's like, I think it has like 16 pads.
You mean it looks like a CDJ, but it has all the
pads.
Yeah, those are crazy.
It kind of looks like an MPC, but
right.
I could maybe start looking into using that. It's just the clubs probably don't really carry them.
Yeah, and having the other CDJ is good, because it's kind of like a backup, or like you said, you could have an acapella loop running and then still be able to use both turntables and then bring that up and down whenever you want.
Yeah, even when I was using HID mode, I still always had a third CDJ with acapella loops and stuff like that.
Yeah, Ruckus does that too, right?
Yeah, he goes crazy with the the loop, and
I love it. Yeah.
It's nuts. But so I do have the sampler. I can honestly say I don't miss anything about Serato anymore.
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to Serato. I think it's still for like turntablists and people that I think scratch and really still love the feel of vinyl of the turntable. I totally get that. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like that. I mean, the CDJ platter it's just like, I talk to Ross One about this all the time, and he's always like, it just doesn't feel the same. Like when I drop, when I like, let go of it, when I let go of the platter.
But the 3000 does to me. Yeah. I can drop it.
It's definitely better.
Yeah.
But it'll never be that same feeling. And at the end of the day, every DJ, you have your own preferences and stuff.
But the more you practice with it, you're going to feel comfortable.
Yeah. It's just been so great to, and the other main thing has been like, it feels like you're really DJing.
I know.
And like, mixing is more intentional. And like, when you're picking songs, it's like with Serato, it's always kind of like a crutch in a way, where it's like, okay, I can just really quickly go find another song.
Yeah.
And although it is faster now on the CDJs to find stuff, it's just like, it's more intentional, because you have to like feel it. You're not relying on like looking at the computer and the waves. Like, you really have to like be into the music.
Right.
Can't be as distracted, No,
I know what you mean. Like, I set up my drive for REKORDBOX and was like, all right, I'm going to practice at home. And then 4 hours later, I'm like, damn, I just had so much fun, because I felt like I was on vinyl. I was just in the zone. I wasn't staring at a screen. I was just looking at the CDJ screen.
Exactly like you said.
And experimenting. Like, oh, I can loop this. I can go there. I can do this.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so ironic that a lot of the older DJs hate on CDJs because it's like we're going back to how it was before, where you're not like.
I think it's the feeling, like you said, of the platter thing, but I know it's like I wonder, you know, Serato has been like they've done so many great things, and I love it, and I love working with them and using the program, but they have been slow to update other things, and I have noticed this slow trickle off of a lot of DJs that were full Serato that are now going on to the USB stick and feeling totally comfortable. And I wonder if they're dropping the ball a little bit. I mean, no disrespect to you guys, like you're saying, but, you know, like they've been saying they're going to update the library for years. You know, like I want to be able to search my crates. I want other search functions. I want to be able just have a more advanced library. Even REKORDBOX and Traktor have a more advanced library at this point. And REKORDBOX giving you the ability to use the USBs. Like, Serato needs to figure something out with that.
The REKORDBOX app, like on the computer, sucks. Like they have not figured that out. Serato's software is a lot better.
It is.
And I actually still organize. I still, you know, when I download MP3s off record pools, usually they have the Serato cue points already linked. So I'll open them up in Serato and just like, you know, organize my music in there. After I change the tags in iTunes, I'll go into Serato. And I'll see maybe there's certain parts I want to like loop or like, you know, make sure the grid is right, all that stuff. And then I'll use Record Buddy, which is like a third-party program to sync the cue points and loops from Serato to REKORDBOX.
Okay.
So I don't even do any cue points, nothing in REKORDBOX. I still do everything in Serato.
Right.
So that's the one thing, you know, like the software is stable. Maybe they haven't like updated it and given it more features. Like
I just want to be able to search my crates. I feel like I've been DJing 15 years on this program, and now I have so much shit in there. I want to be able to look.
What? Oh, search for crates.
Yeah.
Oh,
like I have a crate. I want to look for like this, you know.
Like the title of the crate.
I was hanging with someone the other night, and I remember I did this crazy house music set for this Burning Man virtual thing, and I was so happy with all the songs I'd picked. And I was over at his house, and I wanted to trade music with him, and I could not find the crate in my crate.
And you saved it.
Because I had hidden it away in some other crate called like Cabo House and whatever, because I was going to Cabo to DJ. So it took me 30 minutes just to go through my computer and find. I wish I could just type Burning Man and it would show me the crate. Or
I feel like the workaround would be to open your Serato folder. Like,
I did.
Finder,
that's how I found it.
And go in the crates and type it in and then maybe drag it.
That was how I found it. I went into the Finder, I searched, and I saw it was in that Cabo folder, and then I had to find that. But it's just a lot. It's like, come on, guys, what are we doing here? Well, that's super interesting. You know, the whole REKORDBOX, you know, changeover.
Being able to just like show up with a USB drive and not have to take your backpack and stuff. I literally carry like a little bag with my.
It almost feels like cheating.
Like so I have my headphones, a couple USB drives, and then I also have this cable that I have, which is like a RCA to headphone jack. I guess what is that, 1/8 inch?
Yeah,
with like an iPhone dongle.
Oh, okay.
Just in case, like, you know, the guy comes in that's spending like $1 million and he needs to hear like the Star Wars theme or some shit.
You're like, here we go. Spotify.
I could just pull it up on Spotify or like, you know, artists come that I don't have the song, because that's what a lot of DJs say. It's like, oh well, like what if you need to download something and this and that? It's like, you know, first of all, like, we shouldn't be having to do that like anyway, but that's like another conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are put in those positions where we have to. So it's like, I have the cable just in case, but it's just so nice. Like not having to, lug the backpack around. I mean, we're like spoiled at this point, but
I know,
but it is nice. You know,
what about have you ever tried Record Cloud? That other,
no,
that's the one I use to make the USB.
Oh, to sync.
Yeah, I sync my Serato crates.
I've heard that there's
cue
better
points.
Ones now.
I don't know if it's better. That's what I was wondering if you could tell the difference. Because Record Cloud is really dope, really advanced. You can do so much shit.
Yeah, I've heard that. I need to look into
it's a little confusing. Like I had to like do some importing and exporting and a lot of back and forth to get those crates and the things to link up. I thought I'd be able to push a button, like you said, and then it would go.
It's a little more complicated because I think what it does is the REKORDBOX XML file.
And then I had to import that. Then I had to go in REKORDBOX with my thing, and then I forgot what I did, but import and save it.
It's not as intuitive. Neither one is going to be as intuitive.
Okay, so they're both like that.
Yeah, I don't think they can actually edit like REKORDBOX the collection. I think they just do the XML.
I think
and the
you're
XML file has less ways to organize stuff. So it's always kind of like, it's not like quite there yet to sync everything seamlessly with Serato and REKORDBOX, but I just like have my, like I said, I have my like crates set up in a way where everything, once I moved everything over, now it's just kind of like updating automatically as I add music. So
what do you mean? Like, so when you update automatically, you're saying because you do all the stuff you do in your smart crates in iTunes, then when you put your USB in, are you just transferring over the whole library?
So like basically everything goes through my iTunes and
your master
and REKORDBOX. Like you could set it up REKORDBOX to basically sync with certain folders in iTunes.
Okay.
And like that the folder in iTunes is my main folder that has all of my music. Okay. So as I add stuff into it, it like automatically will sync it. And Record Buddy, basically what I'll do is like whenever I add music, I'll just open up Record Buddy and just go to all tracks and just drag those tracks into REKORDBOX XML. And then from there, they pop up in REKORDBOX in that playlist. I know this sounds like crazy confusing, but like
no, it's good. I'm glad we have this recorded. So I can rewind and listen. But you mean, but then what about those smart crates? How does REKORDBOX know that it's supposed to be in the rap, whatever anthem?
So
it'll something.
It'll automatically transfer them into like the REKORDBOX collection, which is like your main library in REKORDBOX. But then also the trick is you want to get the version that Record Buddy made that has the REKORDBOX cue points on it.
Right.
Otherwise, the one that automatically loads into REKORDBOX from your iTunes will just be the one without the REKORDBOX cue points.
Right.
So you basically have to like re-add them, which is like the annoying part. Yes. But again, like it's as you add music, I'm not adding thousands of songs at a time. Yeah. You know, it's just like whenever I add music, I'll just like re-add them. You know,
right. Crazy. No,
you just like replace them. It like basically like it's like, oh, would you like to replace that file? And then when you replace the file, it still stays in that smart playlist that it's in. It just replaced it with that Record Buddy version that has the key points on it.
I would have to mess with it.
It's really confusing. And honestly, eventually I'm just going to switch fully to REKORDBOX to not have to worry about that. But I don't know. It's not as, it's still like organizing in Serato. And then sometimes I'm always like, oh, I might still use Serato for something.
That's the thing. You still might have to once in a while.
Like I still might. I really don't see how I would or where I would at this point, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing people doing it. I went to
I just can't let go.
I went to a party Friday night. I just mentioned to you called Electric Feels.
Yeah.
It was pretty dope. It was like I hadn't been that inspired to DJ after going to a party for a minute, and like they had it at Avalon. It's thrown by this guy Jeremy Burke who does that party. What is it? At EchoFlex or whatever. It's
EchoPlex,
like it's EchoPlex, but I think the party's called like EchoFlex, or I don't know. I think it's all like 2000s hip hop type shit, you know. And but he does this other party. It was a 4-year anniversary of Electric Feels, and it was like they're playing Foster the People, Phoenix, MGMT, like 10 years ago, songs like that. You know, M83. Just the normal versions. And he's not even like a technical DJ. I think he's more of just like a party promoter that also DJs. He's on the mic a lot, but packed Avalon, sold out front to back, singing every song, like having the time of their life. Then Mike B gets on at midnight and plays midnight to 2 and plays like a Banana Split kind of set. So he's playing everything we used to go crazy to at Banana Split. I was just like in heaven, and I was like, I need to DJ this, and I was so impressed by like the whole thing. Also, Mike was on REKORDBOX and USB only, so
he's been on that.
So it was cool to see. He's playing all the old shit we have. He was playing like some Steve Wonder edit, but he has it on there, and he just rocked like Avalon front to back, and that party tours. So they were just in Hawaii, they sold out. They were in San Diego, sold out House of Blues. They were in Berkeley the next day. So it's becoming this big thing, and it wasn't club people. It was almost like people that go to Coachella or like shows that want a place to go listen to this music loud and don't want to have to go to Vegas and hear EDM or whatever it was. So it was cool to see that exists, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
we were kind of trying to do something like that right before the pandemic hit. We did 2 parties. Me, Jesse Marco, and Ruckus did we called it Goodies, and it was all cool. Like 2000s. I remember. Yeah, we did at the edition we did in February.
Right.
Was the last one we did. We did one in like November or December, and then we didn't do one until February, and we were going to do it monthly. And that was kind of like the goal with it, was to sort of capture that audience that really wants to hear that music and brand it and be more of like a party, less of like a typical club night, more of like an event where people come and
this is just dance, literally buy a ticket, like no doorman type shit, you know? But yeah, it's just cool to see that kind of stuff. And then, you know, just like you were saying with the USB stick and REKORDBOX, and watching him just smash that on something that we used to play all those songs on Serato with was interesting. Like, all right, there you go. Yeah, 2 dope DJs killing it on there. I mean, there's more too, but I mean, just in the past couple weeks, I saw it with my own eyes.
I've noticed too, like all the kids, like the young DJs that I've been coming across, like none of them use Serato.
Oh my God. I went and DJ'd, I told the story on here, but played this house music event, and every kid was under 25. And I'm coming in here like DJ in their 40s with a laptop, like, back in my day, we opened a laptop and played a song.
Isn't that like crazy to think about?
Yeah.
Like, you're like now with the laptop, like you're God. You're like the old head. Oh, this guy's using his laptop still. Like,
I know. And these 2 guys that came on after me were like, sorry, man, we wanted to do B2B with you, but we can't do it. And I'm like, yeah, you can. I'm like, I'll be on the one channel. And they're like, no, we don't know how to do that. We only do USB. I was like, okay, I'm out of here. Yeah. So yeah, that was a very motivating day and night for me to go home and work on my USB stick. I remember that next week I talked to Drew from Pioneer, and he helped me set up the stick and showed me, you know, all the features on the 3000s. And I'm like, I need to be ready for this.
I mean, the good DJs like you are, you know, it's just about practicing a little bit. And
totally, just practicing.
You're just going to be a beast because you're just a beast already. You
exactly.
know?
Like thank you. But we're already like, it's the crutch. It's the comfort zone thing to have the stuff that you're used to. And you have to get out of that, you know, to continue to have fun DJing too. That's why we get complacent. We're like, oh, we're just playing the same shit, or these crowds suck. Like maybe you suck right now. Like you gotta get your own.
It has actually really brought like a fresh perspective on DJing for me again, because it's like I actually have to like blend. Like I don't use sync or any of that stuff. I mean, some DJs do. I mean, I don't even honestly care if
the sync throws me off. I do use it sometimes, but I have to like know what I'm doing, because it's like slowed it down or sped it up for me in some crazy ways. I was like, holy shit.
I've never even tried to use it, but I mean, I have nothing against like the house DJs that use it, I guess. Yeah. Because like, you know, again, it's just like more about the journey, the set, like building the vibe, creating those moments. Like,
yeah, totally.
It's just such a different kind of DJ. Like, I used to think, I mean, technically, it's obviously a lot easier. You know what I mean? Like
with
from a
sync.
technical perspective. No, just in general. Like playing one tempo like the whole night.
Yes.
But then it's like you go to some of these parties, like you travel, you go overseas, and like you see these guys playing for like 12 hours or like even longer, and just like the dance floor is full. You know, it's just a completely different skill. You know? Yeah. It's a completely different skill, and it's just like we read a room, like we're good at reading basically like any kind of room.
Yeah.
But with that, it's like even beyond reading a room, you really just like have to have the stamina to even do like, God, you know what I mean?
I know. Yeah.
Like
the stamina and the like willpower too, to not go fast through the songs, like to like you said, let them breathe.
Yeah.
Really long time, and be able to kind of relate to the crowd. A lot of those crowds are maybe doing different things than drinking. And so,
true, yeah.
You know, like I've been saying since last May, the amount of parties I've DJ'd where people are on shrooms has like really grown. And I've had to learn. I know how to DJ to high people, drunk people, but like people on shrooms are their own thing, and music translates a different way. And, you know, I've had to learn that too, you know.
I mean, it's basically going to be legal soon. So.
I know. It's everywhere. Every party I go to.
You may have to teach me how to DJ for people shrooming. I don't even.
This one thing I was doing in Mexico, like this guy was like, friends with the people, and he's like, I got a USB, bro. Can I get on? I'm like, please, because I want to know what is going on. And he gets on, plays all this shit. I'm like, I need all that, you know, because I mean, I was doing good, but he really was tapped in, you know? And yeah, you just every time constantly learning.
Yeah, but I think the sound like that is going to be next in terms of like where the house pop dance sound goes. Like it obviously went from like 2010 was like R&B, like when R&B and house kind of came together with Guetta.
Yeah.
He did put Kelly Rowland and Akon on records and like all that started happening. Then I think it went like to this like Dutch sound with like Afrojack and Hardwell.
Car alarm sound.
Like big room Dutch sound.
Yeah.
And then now we've sort of gone into this like more underground tech house sound. And I really think where it's going from here is like more like minimal house.
Yeah.
Like tough to sort of like give an example of like
where
an
it'll
artist
just be
that's
like
doing it.
They take like one recognizable like 8-bar vocal loop, and then the rest is just a drum and bass. Like it's like I drive these brothers crazy.
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom,
yep.
boom, boom.
I think it's
boom,
gonna go
like
more
just that.
like more minimal. I think that's where it's going.
Right.
And, you know, and for people on drugs and shrooming and like all that stuff, I think that's kind of like what they want. Probably.
I know.
It's like less, like
not
as much like noise and ear candy and the same like more kind of just like stripped back stuff. I think that's probably where it's headed.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, a lot of the dope, you know, smaller room house shit is pretty funky and dope, and I think appeals to all different kinds of people. So that does sound like a good prediction, and that's what I've been noticing with places. And like, so what else were you doing during the pandemic? Like, you know, I know getting on REKORDBOX and all that, but I know you're working on a lot of music, and like, what'd you do with your time, and what happened?
I've put out my first single in October 2020, which was like smack in the middle of everything. I just like really didn't want 2020 to sort of go by and not put anything out, and I had a record that I just thought was really cool. This artist featured on it that has been doing some really cool stuff, and she's really bubbling like here in LA and really in a lot of other places too. But she's just like super cool. We had this record, I finished it and was able to get some cool coverage like with Spotify, some cool playlists and some cool PR and some cool looks. We did a video for it. And I put that out. It did, you know, relatively well considering it was like my first single I had put out.
Right.
And it wasn't really like a club record. I felt like at that time, kind of pointless to put out like a club record.
Playing club records?
Yeah, it was just kind of like
it was a dope song.
Yeah, like alternative pop, dark alternative pop song, I guess. And just that was a cool learning experience. Just the process of like putting music out and the rollout, and I did it independently, but also she's signed to a major label.
Okay,
she's signed to Capitol, so like dealing with the clearance process, and you know, it's just been a great learning experience. Throughout COVID of just like getting ready to just put more music out, how to do it, how to market it. And just kind of digging for like new stuff, organizing my library, traveling, I guess, here and there, like shows kind of came in and out. I wasn't in Vegas much at all in 2021.
Right.
This year I have a residency at Zouk at Resorts World.
Yeah, dope. So I want to make it out there one of the times you're playing. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I think it's like the best production. That club and Omnia, I think, are the two best production in like Vegas. For DJs in Vegas.
Yeah. You
could just like, you know, if you have like crazy visuals and like, you know, a good team that can really put on a show for you, it's like you know, the best. Other than that, it's just been same as everyone else, I guess. Just kind of like having some doubts also, like, oh, should I like pivot and do some other shit? Like, is DJing ever going to come back?
Yeah.
Is it going to be the same? Like,
that's the crazy thing is like, you know, people like you and me and different people having those type of feelings and doubts. It's just crazy, you know, because right before we're like, oh, it's all good. We got so many gigs. We're hooking up our friends, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, what is life?
Yeah. No,
you know?
It was
and
definitely...
it's even crazy now, you know, it's still so up and down, but now I feel like things are really good and starting to come back.
Yeah. I think this year is going to be a big bounce back year for touring and everything. Like Coachella coming up, you know, in a couple months, they like dropped all the COVID restrictions.
Saw that
with
crazy.
Everything. So like, I feel like that's
in New York too. Like in a week, they're going to drop all the stuff.
So that like set, I think, a good precedent because Coachella kind of kicks off the festival season.
Yeah.
And they're just, you know, if they're doing that, then...
And they're in California.
Yeah.
And they're basically LA, even though they're outside of it.
So everyone kind of sort of has to follow suit. And like just from the past couple of weeks, like I've been getting like a lot more bookings for private events. I think a lot of like the corporate stuff took like, you know, 2 years off basically.
Yeah. Well, even last month or January, I had so many events and I'm like, we're back, baby. Let's go. And then all of a sudden I started, you know, everyone started getting sick around Christmas. And I was like, are they all going to get canceled? And then it was like first of the year, one gig canceled. And then by the time that night or the next morning, I think every gig was canceled that I had.
You know, were lined up for Sundance and the Grammys.
Everything.
Yeah, same. I mean, I was going to do Tao Sundance and then I had the Spotify Best New Artist Grammy party.
Crazy.
Every nominee for Best New Artist was performing at it. And like that was already confirmed. And then they moved it to Vegas. They canceled the one in LA. Now it's in Vegas in April.
Right.
And they canceled the party. They're not doing like, I think Clive Davis canceled his party too. So like January was bad, but now I think it's like we've hopefully...
No, I feel good. I feel good now, and I'm starting to get hit up for private events and all that, and nightclubs, and it's
like
all
weddings too, like all these like.
Oh my God, because people have been putting them off forever. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and usually it's like really rich people, and a lot of the really rich people have gotten a lot richer over the past couple of years.
That's true. That is true. So inflation like, and all that. And that's the thing is like, you know, we got to make more money too. So
well, that's the thing. What's up with that? So like, it's funny because I see. Inflation. Everybody's charging more. Netflix, Amazon, all the big companies. Everywhere you go, like every plane ticket is more. Every hotel, every restaurant, every Erewhon, Whole Foods, all that stuff. But DJs are still getting hit a lot of the time with like, yo, so can you do it for this? Or this was you know, we've had a hard time during the pandemic. Can you do it for less? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. We need more money now. Like I don't think DJs should be doing shit for less now. I think that's done. Like, I think a lot of these spots are still trying to hold on to we had a bad time during the pandemic. It's like, all right, so did we. Like, fuck that. Yeah. And all the cost of everything is going up. I think DJs need to also do that. And the managers and all the booking agents, like, we need more money too. Otherwise, they're going to continue to try to give us less. So it's like, you got to up your rate and stick to that
100%,
shit. You know?
And like, if you feel like you're not getting what you deserve in the clubs, you know, Twitch and all these new platforms that DJs are making money off of, like, focus more on that.
Build up on that. Like, exactly. And then you can have more leverage.
Over COVID really doing that, you know.
Right. And some are still going.
Yeah. A lot of Vegas DJs that weren't necessarily like headlining, you know, I saw built a little community on Twitch and they're making good money. And I mean, that sounds better to me than having to travel and grind. Like, you just stream from home. I mean, you were doing it I was doing it for a while,
and I really want to get back on. I've been saying I'm going to, but we're actually going to try to bring this show to Twitch.
Cool.
So at least do something different. I want to get back on and DJ, but I have a few ideas for fun Twitch shows that are involved.
Yeah,
with,
this could be cool to do live on Twitch.
Yeah.
Then you kind of get the audience.
We were going to try to even do this, but we didn't make it. We're going to get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to do this live, do the podcast live, and do a few other shows, even have some DJ roundtable shows, review music, the shit that we used to do on this podcast that we can't do anymore, that we could do on Twitch. You know, and just see what happens for there and just keep connecting the DJ community.
Yeah.
Because that was the other thing. It really connected everybody. I became friends with so many other DJs all over the world, and I was able to interview them and do different stuff. So I saw you weren't really on Twitch, though. Were you just like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to do a few live streams for a club or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, I'm just, again, like, really when like during the pandemic, I was really just kind of trying to like be as efficient as possible with my time and like think long term.
Yeah, you seemed like you were very busy and hustling in your own way.
I was in the studio like the whole time.
Right,
I mean, I like really went in on engineering and becoming more self-sufficient in the studio. I like, man, I just became a much better producer and engineer. And with Twitch, I love it. I mean, I was watching and, you know, enjoying a lot of the stuff on there. But it's just like, it takes a lot of work to do it right, you know? Yeah. I look at like what Four Color Zach is doing. I'm like, that is so dope. You know what I mean?
It's amazing. It's incredible. He has like a team of people. I mean, he must, you know. And that's the thing is like,
I think I was just like at a point where I've built my career to a certain level and I have like certain like taste level and expectations of like where I'm at to do like dope shit if I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So I did like a couple streams where like I had like, you know, a green screen and did like it's like West Coast hip hop set, and then I did something for.
I forgot you did that. That was so dope.
Yeah, and I did that for.
Yeah, you killed it with that. Damn, I like completely just slipped my mind.
Yeah, I did. I did like a couple things, but again, like
that West Coast shit was super tight. I need to watch that back. Feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, and it sucks because it was only I did it on Instagram, and I hadn't. Like done it like widescreen version, and like.
That's so funny. Wow, I forgot about that.
But yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna do stuff like that, I want to make sure it's like really well thought out and not just to do it to do it.
Well, how Cassidy did too. He brought his own thing to the game, and it became a whole thing, and everyone did. You know, MOS had his thing, and D Nice obviously. And, you know, that goes to what you're saying with the taste thing. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, everyone's like, oh, with Beatsource, or everyone has the same songs or the same thing, or why would you share what you have? And it's like it doesn't matter. It all comes down to your taste and your execution of what it is, you know. And I think that's what sets us all apart. And now that there's 10 billion DJs, it matters more than ever, your taste. And
also, you know, I was again looking forward. I was like, look, the Twitch thing is great, but as soon as the world opens back up, it's like, you know, people aren't going to be at home watching guys DJing on Twitch.
Right. But what I've discovered is what I think is that it's its own world. Because people are like, do you think these people are going to come to the club? Like maybe 4 of them. But I think that that's its own world, and this is its own thing.
No, it's its own thing, and it's great. It's great. It was just for me, I kind of, again, like was just looking over like what my goals are and what I'm trying to do like with music and as a producer and all these things. And like I have all this free time. Like,
Makes
luckily,
sense.
you know, I was smart with my money and like invested and wasn't like struggling to like pay bills and stuff and trying to figure out where I could make money, you know, and like little private events and little things would pop up during the pandemic, you know, like.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the most part, like everything was shut down, and, you know, it's like, we have all this time. Let's focus on something that you're really thinking long term. And I was just like, yeah, the Twitch stuff could be cool one day to do that and really focus on it and do it right.
Yeah.
But again, it's like its own thing.
Right.
And I didn't feel like pressure to do it at all. I was just like, I love having all this free time, being able to sit in the studio and like get better at engineering and like music and everything. And that's what I want to be doing anyway, going forward. You know,
when you had been already making that transition to be working in the studio all the time, you know, and you were working with artists and working with other managers and signing artists and things like that. So you were already, you know, doing that. So then I think it just sort of opened up to give you the time to really dive into it and work on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I know now you're doing that. I mean, that remix you just put out, that Drake one, is really dope.
Yeah. Yeah. With my music now, I'm really kind of focused more on dance music, I guess, like stuff that I can really play in big ass clubs. And like, I think I've just kind of hit a point where like it's funny because I have this remix coming out soon, Summer Walker and SZA remix for a song called No Love. It's like the big single off Summer Walker's album.
Right.
And it's hopefully going to be official. We're working with her team to like, you know, put it out as a part of another remix that's coming out with a big artist on it. But I originally approached the remix in a way where I was like, I want to make like something really cool, you know, like something that I could play at like off Sunset in LA, like a cool, tasteful club, you know? And I did a version that was like super funky, kind of like K-Tronada, like Channel Trey's vibe.
Right.
And
of that Drake song?
No, of the SZA Summer Walker.
The SZA one, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
the one that's coming out soon.
Right.
And
No Love, yeah.
And I like played it for my manager. And like I have a new manager that's like an incredible A&R.
Okay.
He has 7 or 8 Billboard #1 radio records in the last 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
who is
his name's Adam. He signed Sweetie early on.
Okay.
Basically found Sweetie and developed her into a superstar. He was A&Ring and managing her.
Okay.
And so he's just like has a great ear for like.
And he's your manager, but
he doesn't do my bookings.
Booking agent.
Yeah, so I'm with CAA, does my bookings now.
Oh, okay.
So that also happened.
Are you with DJI at all?
No.
Oh, okay.
So that happened during the pandemic too. I switched teams fully.
Interesting.
And like we're still super tight. Me and Yoni.
Right, I saw Yoni and you the same night.
Yeah,
recently.
it's just like kind of like we'd been working together for like 6-7 years.
Right.
Yeah. And I just kind of like.
But so you're doing this more traditional thing that artists do where you have a manager and you have a booking agent, and the booking agency is like a real big agency.
Yeah. And, not to like dive too far into that, but like, I think it is important to separate the two. And I didn't realize when I was, working with DJI because they're the best at what they do in terms of like booking the coolest, most tasteful DJs at like the best events and the best clubs. And part of that, of course, is management in a way because it's all like relationship based.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing. We've seen the evolution of what DJ managers / booking agents and all that have done because we've been in it since the very beginning in a way. And we've seen the evolution of, we're going to try this, when it was just the Wild West, and it's basically now gotten so big that it does need to be the other way again.
I mean, and this is really important, I think, for DJs and producers to realize is when you have someone that wakes up in the morning and is thinking about how am I going to fill up my client's calendar with bookings? Right. How am I going to put money in his pocket?
Yeah.
It's a completely different mentality and approach to a manager who wakes up in the morning and is like, how am I going to get my client to that next step of his career that he's trying to get to, whether it's being a music producer or a music supervisor or whatever it is.
Right.
It's just like a different approach. And
it's like the manager's looking at like the map of the world and the booking agent's looking at like the trail and like, okay, I'm going to like take this trail to this trail.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think there are ways for like one company to be able to do both.
Yes.
But again, it's just like, you have to look at it like the biggest artists in the world and the biggest DJs in the world have a manager, a booking agent, a business manager who just deals with the money, you know, and is like all the money flows through the business manager, a publicist, a lawyer who's obviously music lawyers are so important, especially when you start producing and doing all that shit.
Yeah.
And then who else? Like, I don't know, a creative director, like,
right, but the ones you named are very the main ones that when you get big you need.
Yeah, but it's good to like know that early on.
Yeah,
that, like eventually, like that's the team you need to have.
Yeah,
and you grow into it slowly, and that's sort of like what happened over COVID.
Right,
it just kind of was like,
and like companies like CAA and UTA and these companies never used to represent an open format DJ.
True.
So I think that it's, in the past few years has become a new thing for them as well, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Those agencies really, it's not about like, sure, some of them didn't have music departments, but it's really not even about like, whether you're open format or house or whatever. It's just like, do you have a business? Like, do you have like,
are they going to be able to book you? You know what I mean?
Like,
right. It's like, not like they look at DJ Khaled, like, is he open format or something? You know what I mean? They're just like, he is who he is.
Yeah. It's like, if you have a business and you're making
true.
Money and you have a good team, and that's the thing, like CAA, like none of those big agencies will really sign anyone unless they understand that they have a team behind them helping, get the fees up and grow the business.
True.
So that happened. But anyway, so my new manager, he's like a really, really solid A&R.
Yeah.
And I played him this first version of the SZA Summer Walker remix, and he liked it.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of like, look, this is cool, but like, where is this going to fit into like when they roll the remix out? Like, where do you see people playing this?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I see myself playing it
on Twitch.
That's always how, like that's how kind of always how, like as an artist, as a creative, you want to inject as much of your, like, where you would play, like, or not, like, what you would do, like what your instincts, what your instincts are, you know what I mean? Like, especially if you don't really have like a specific sound. Yeah. Like, Skrillex when he was making like all dubstep, or, Kaytranada, who obviously has like his sound, that whole like Soulection crew. Like, if you don't really have a sound and you're just kind of like making remixes to just do them and make them fit in your sets, it's almost like you're kind of like selling yourself short, because you have to always think about music in like a marketing way. Yeah. Which like my manager's been kind of like explaining to me. It's like, it's really all marketing. Like, marketing is with music. You can make the best song in the world, but like if it doesn't fit a certain format or like fit a certain genre, as much as like it kind of sucks, like things are like divided that way. But like, where's it gonna live? So I was like, I don't know. Yeah. Like would they play this on like Kiss FM or Power, or like on a certain dance station on Sirius? And I was like, I don't really know.
Or it's just a few DJs will be like, dope, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then like, what does that do for, like, what is that again? Like, what's sort of like the point of that, other than like making like a cool remix? True. So I went back to the drawing board and I did like a house remix, like almost like a, future house, I guess, remix of it that then made more sense. Like, oh, okay, this could go to like dance radio and like festival DJs, like the guys that play like big stages and stuff. Yeah. When that song goes hard at radio and is like a big hit, this will be the remix that they play. Yeah. So you just have to be a little more strategic. And that's sort of what I've started to realize, is like, I want to be a little bit more strategic with what I'm doing musically, and sort of make sure it makes sense and has a place to be supported and played. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And it's really something that, again, everything's like a learning process for me as I evolve into like being a producer, artist, whatever you want to call it. But like, you do have to like eventually stick to one, be known for like something, and then kind of like you could pivot and do whatever you want. But like,
it's like Skrillex is a good example of that. I mean, obviously he's a one of a kind, person and producer, but is it just that, okay, you can work on the dubstep stuff and then do literally anything you want after that. But
and I feel like we've talked about like us as club DJs, open format DJs, we know so many genres of music. Yeah. It's like our Achilles heel. Yeah. It's like we love and know so much music that when we want to make music, we want to make all of it. Yeah, exactly. But like, you really have to like, I was trying to really, put myself in that mentality a couple of years ago. But now really, when I started thinking about it in more like of like a marketing way, like, okay, we have to like market these records and they have to live somewhere, and certain people that like certain types of music, we have all these tools to like market music, like whether it's like, paying for like ads and stuff on Instagram, or hiring people to do like playlists or TikToks and all this stuff. Totally. People have like certain tastes and they gravitate towards certain music. So it's like, you got to know who your audience is. That's really all it is. You have to figure out who your audience is, because like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can make the best song in the world to you. Yeah. But if it doesn't resonate with like a specific group of people, no one's going to hear it. No one's going to care. Yeah, that's true. You know?
No, exactly. Like, why are you doing this? It's like your manager's saying, like, a good job, but like, why or what or where is this going?
And that's such a big part of A&Ring, like that. And that's the thing, like when you start working with someone that really has that A&R mentality. Yeah. Sometimes like they'll take it a little too far. Sometimes it's like artists butt heads with their A&Rs because they're like, oh, I need a hit. It's like hits. And it's like, dude, I'm a fucking artist. Like I'm a creative. Like, I don't go in the studio trying to like make a hit. Yeah. Like my boy Mike Hector tweeted the other day a great Quincy Jones quote. It's like, when you go in the studio, with the goal of making money, God leaves the room.
Yes, he said that in the documentary.
Yeah, in the Quincy Netflix thing. But Mike tweeted it and like went viral because like, so true.
It's true.
So like it's a balance, you know. It's like, yeah, sure, you want to make a hit and you want something to be popular and you want to be recognized for it, but at the same time, it's like you do have to still put your.
You don't have to necessarily think about money when you're doing it. You could just think about why you're doing it though, and still have a focus. You know, so I think that.
But it's good to have that person on your team, or whether it's a friend or people that you send music to, instead of just being like, oh, like that's dope, like like put that out. It should be more like, oh, like this is cool, but like where do you sort of see this like living? Like who are you gonna send? What DJs are you gonna send this to that you're friends with that are gonna support this and play it at like festivals or in clubs where the song could blow up? You know.
It's true.
That's something I've realized. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting and important. And especially if you're trying to, you know, become a producer and go into that. And yeah, I mean, you know, it's like Miles Beard, like he comes from the DJ world, dope DJ, we're friends with him, but he's really good at being an A&R because of those things, I think. You know, they give you the honest opinion, they have the future vision.
Yeah. I mean, DJs, if you fully transition from being a DJ to an A&R, you really have a leg up.
Right.
Because, like you can really, once you start really looking at it from that lens of where is this going to fit in, what format is this going to fit in, how are we going to market the song? Yeah. It starts to really become easier to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work.
No, totally. Know? They have like a superpower. What about like, I saw this article this morning that Dylan Francis signed a residency deal with Big Night Entertainment, you know, Randy and them on the East Coast, and got paid, probably not entirely, but part of his payment was one of the rarest Bored Ape NFTs. And it was like, it's like, I'll send you the article, but, and I'm assuming, you know, he got paid some other ways as well or something. I don't know. Or maybe he can, you know, hedge his bets if it all goes down. But pretty interesting, you know. And then part of the deal is that he has to collaborate with Big Night Entertainment's group Escape Plan, which is 2 Bored Apes.
I saw that,
And I don't know. Like, how does his booking agent or manager get a cut? Do they want a piece of the NFT if he sells it? It's so confusing. I wonder.
I mean, I think a lot.
Definitely first time I've seen anything like that.
Again, I haven't spoken to Dylan or Randy or any.
Yeah, me either. I saw it this morning. Like I saw the article, you know, I was like, damn.
I definitely think there's a lot of marketing tactics and backdoor stuff happening with a lot of these NFTs where, you know, it's like Dylan Francis signs deal in exchange for Bored Ape NFT.
Obviously, that's just a headline. You know, when you read it, it's more info, but pretty crazy.
I'm going to read it. I think all the NFT, you know, the whole movement is really cool. I mean, these announcements and these like big press things, like Eminem buys a Bored Ape, and it's like, you know,
I think there's companies behind that giving him the Bored Ape and paying for him to say it. And, you know, you see it's in this frantic mode right now. People are just greedy and trying to make money. But there's also these amazing, cool things that have ramifications for the future of how we'll do. And seeing a DJ sign a residency deal for an NFT is like, oh, shit.
By the way, did you see today, actually, Tyler, the creator, there was a video of him talking about NFTs? You didn't see that?
I assume he doesn't like it.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. I mean, I see both sides of it. Tyler's like, what the hell is an NFT? Like, he's just like, yo, we're not living in the metaverse. We're living in real life. Like, let's live real life kind of thing. Like, let's stop going more digital with everything. But I think it's kind of like you said with Twitch. It's like, it's its own thing. And I think there's obviously a future with music, NFTs.
Exactly. That's like step one or whatever step, the beginnings of what will be the metaverse or whatever the buzzword is. And Tyler, to his credit, he's amazing, but also
he's a little cynical,
but also he built his whole life off of, in a way, the metaverse, because he just Instagrammed every single moment of his life nonstop up until now. He's like constantly covered. But in the beginning, you're like, look at this guy. He's doing YouTube videos and Instagram stories and Snapchat and whatever it is. And that's kind of the metaverse or whatever. You know, we're all in this digital stuff, whether we like it or not.
I think there's going to be so many different ways of people utilizing that technology, like to do all different, every industry is going to be affected by it. I think,
one way or another.
I think like, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are grouping everything kind of all together, and they're just like, oh, well, like the art part of it is like, you know, being manipulated by like all these people that just like have a bunch, like got crypto rich, and now it's just like a, you know, a billionaire boys club kind of thing, where everyone's just like, they're not actually even they're all selling the NFTs to each other and driving the price up, which, by the way, in the regular art world, and not, you know, like, it's not regular art world, but like,
I know what you mean.
Traditional physical art world, that obviously is a big part of the market. The market price of a lot of these pieces is like, who's buying what. You know, like, who's buying this artist, and then all the big collectors hear about, oh, this collector just bought this artist, that must mean that like something.
Of course.
So it's actually the art world.
It's also like when Diplo plays a song nobody knows, and then everybody.
The art world is one of the, you know, last remaining unregulated markets for like goods and stuff, you know.
True.
Where like the price can be manipulated, and there's a lot of wealthy people that like play that game. A lot of that's happening with NFTs on the art side. On the music side, I think we haven't even scratched the surface of like sort of where we could go with that. There's tons of startups that are trying to figure out ways where artists can, and people that have, you know, own the rights to their music, can get paid instantly in like a certain whatever the currency is of that platform when their stuff gets streamed or sold. Where, you know, the way artists get paid now is so antiquated. You know, like, it streams on Spotify, then the money goes to a distributor, then the distributor pays the label and the publisher, and then the label has to like divide up all the money, but they only do it once every 6 months, and then you have to pay back the advance and the marketing budget, and then like the producers get a like, it's just so complex, and we have the technology to make it a lot easier. Just
even with mixes, I saw Joe K and Selection release a mixtape a week or two ago, and they did it through this platform, and everyone on the mixtape, all the splits were done. So when the mixtape sold for this much Ethereum, and it was like $86,000 or whatever it is, Joe K got 5%, Selection got 20%. Each artist got, depending on how much their song was, 4.26%, or, you know, whatever it was. And it was like, oh, that's pretty dope, you know, to see that the technology can be used in that way. And I think there's cool things, but like you said, it's people don't understand, and there's
we've
the word
NFT.
It's like saying the word art, and then it's like, okay, you've got the Mona Lisa, and you got something that your kid that's 2 years old drew in kindergarten. Like, it's both art. But
that's why I think we're barely at the forefront of what it's going to do. Really, I mean, revolutionize like so many different industries, but it's exciting what's happening with the music stuff. I think definitely this year will be a big year in kind of figuring out, even like with what Kanye's doing with his new album, like how it's only on
selling the stem player,
and then you connect it to your computer, and that's how it like updates the songs and stuff. I mean,
crazy.
There's so much revolutionary stuff going on. I think, it's just music, I think, is going to start to get a little bit more cannibalized and fragmented like it was before Spotify and Apple Music kind of became the norm. You remember we were getting music from like everywhere, from blogs, from, you know, record pools, I guess, were kind of like already a thing, but mailing lists, like directly from DJs.
MySpace, SoundCloud, and then each thing, vinyl, and you're buying, And now vinyl's like huge again, and people want that physical connection.
I think it's about the physical connection with vinyl, and then with NFTs, it's like that rare fact, like the fact that something's like rare.
And I guess the fact that you can own something on the internet. So the same way that we're in their group chats and we send each other some dumb picture, I guess now there's a way, not like I want to own that dumb picture, but like there's a way to own things digitally and prove it, even though it's still confusing and,
that part of it actually is a lot, as a collectible, it's a lot more efficient to own an NFT because, you know, imagine you own like a painting that you have like in your house and your house burns down, like the painting's gone.
Right. But in a way, isn't that what makes the final remaining painting so expensive? Like, isn't that why a Honus Wagner card is so much? Because by the year 2022, there's only a couple left that don't have a creased edge and have not burned up in a fire. And in the digital world, it's just made up. You're like, some guy was like, no, I made 999. And you're like, oh, okay, thanks. And it's like, well, couldn't you make more? Yeah, but I won't. Oh, okay, thanks. It's like, I can't reprint the damn rookie Magic, Michael Jordan card, but like, I can reprint the digital one whether you own it or not. It's a bit confusing because it's forced digital scarcity, but I am for it. But it's like,
I mean, the market is the market. It's going to dictate like
exactly
whatever people are willing to pay for that, one of 1,000 digital Michael Jordan, or I guess now it's going to be like whoever the new players are, Luka or Giannis. It's really just like what people are willing to pay. And I think because of the way the world has evolved with iPhones and iPads and stuff, it's like when I was a kid collecting basketball cards, I would like bring my folder of cards to school and like show them off to like my friends. But now it's like these kids have iPads and iPhones.
Right.
And it's like, that's how how we showcase things. So it just makes more sense from a practical perspective, like where it's going. But yeah, I mean, also.
But I guess they don't. Like, for example, my son, I buy him Pokemon cards, baseball cards, basketball cards, everything. He has folders. He brings a folder to school. He gives his best friend the card he loves, so his best friend and him have the connection. His best friend gets a pack. He gives him one. Yeah. It's still there. But the place that I do see them show off and trade the digital goods is in Roblox. That's where he goes, and he goes to Nike Land, and he completes the thing, and he gets the new Air Max, and he gets the Mercury cleats that he has in real life, but they have a jetpack on him, and he gets to fly to his friend's pet store in Roblox, and he goes, how do you have 42 pets and 19 pairs of shoes? And I hear him talking, and I'm like, oh shit, that's what it is.
Does he have the VR thing
No,
on?
He's just on his iPad, or he's on the computer, or he's on Xbox, or whatever you can play it on, and that's where they have their collection. Because I say to him, hey, we have Top Shots. We have NFL all day. I bought you all these digital cards. You want to show your friends? He's like, no, it's cool. So like he doesn't want to show that on, but he wants to. But when you're in the Roblox, which is really the metaverse or Fortnite, you're like, look at all the skins and dances and guns and crazy stuff I have. And you're like, oh, okay. So it's almost like you have to be your digital being, and the digital being wants to show off this stuff. Right. But in real life, he still wants to go to school and bring the Charizard and be like, look what I got, Charizard, the year 2000. So it's kind of weird.
I guess. Yeah, like
right. I'm still figuring it out, but then I still buy him the cards. But then I don't know. Like today, I'm in this closed beta version of NFL all day, and it's the trading thing of NFL. And last year, if you were in the Top Shot version, you could have made so much money. This year, I'm buying them. I don't know if it's the same. Like I'm paying $50 for a pack, and then I kind of feel ripped off after a while. So I don't know. I'm still learning.
I think the collectible side of it, we're in sort of like a bubbly,
we're figuring it out.
Like kind of Beanie Babies kind of thing.
Yes, it's the FOMO thing. Like if something has FOMO behind it, and the Bored Ape, maybe it'll stay forever, or maybe no one will care. It's such a weird.
I think
thing.
It will. I mean, I think it's inevitable. I mean, those crypto punks are like going in museums and stuff. You know, I think it's here to stay. I mean, it's all exciting stuff. Technology. Yeah. And like just kind of allowing artists to
I like the membership thing behind it too. Like that Pool Suite online radio thing. They made their own thing, and you get the Pool Suite card, and it shows up in your Apple Wallet. And I think there's ways. I've been trying to brainstorm these ways with some other smart people I know to find a way to bring all the DJs together and utilize the NFTs as a membership thing. And I think there's things we could do, and in the same way we're all doing Twitch,
That part of it is awesome too, the community aspect, like the tokenized communities and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and we can help each other and create these communities.
And you grow as a community together.
Yeah, and even the DAO thing where we could have a treasury and use it to vote on something. I mean, just watching what Shecky Green is part of this project called Dope Wars, and they sell NFTs, and in a way they're creating this metaverse game that will be kind of like a Grand Theft Auto thing, but they're building it from scratch and bootstrapping it and all this stuff. And they have a DAO, which is decentralized autonomous organization, and that has its own treasury. So when the NFTs are sold, a percentage goes into the treasury.
Yeah, and then people get to vote.
They're like, okay, the treasury now has $1 million, or you know, whatever it has. And then the people that own the NFTs and own the token or whatever have voting rights, just like you're a shareholder in a stock. So you can propose something. So he proposed, okay, let's have Green Lantern make a mixtape and get paid this much and then present it on his Twitch and do this whole thing. They approved it. It went through and it happened. And I just watched the launch a couple days ago, and it was kind of dope to see like it go from start to finish and actually happen. Green Lantern gets to make money, be a part of this project, promote it on his Twitch. So it was very beginnings of metaverse type thing, you know, and after a while we'll be in this world where it's all interoperable and all that stuff, but it's kind of like, okay, there's some use cases and it really happened, you know, so maybe.
Well, in those types of examples with the DAO, I think that's actually one of the coolest things of crypto is our DAOs, because it really empowers like the community, you know what I mean? It's like we're so used to, you know, being on Facebook and Twitter and all these platforms that basically like we created all that value for the company and for their shareholders, but like we're not, or I mean like you might own Facebook stock or something, but then like, you know, made some money off the stock, but like the DAOs are like directly, you know, the community is benefits as it grows. And as you bring in value, your value goes up, which I think is just like a really cool democratic way of moving forward with this new technology.
And you could vote how to use the money. And it's like, oh, everybody came together and somehow made $500,000. If everyone feels so strongly about Ukraine right now or something, they could vote to, you know, donate $400,000 to this, or, you know, anything could be done and it's not controlled by other stuff. So I think, you know, as much as people hate on it and it's horrible, I think there's a lot of cool things, a lot of confusing things. And
like we said at the beginning, you know, it's just like there's so much, and a lot of it gets just like grouped into one thing. And you really got to do your research. And I think, you know, DJs, musicians, artists, definitely you need to like be up on what's happening, because it's like happening so fast.
So
definitely at least have an understanding of like what it is. So then when you do have that idea of how you can sort of use it, to, you know, to whether put out music or art, or, you know, build a community, build a part, whatever it is, this is like the way to do it now. You know, all the technology is like right there for us. Like I even saw that some hoodlum, you know, the dope artist, like has some deal with Tao Group now or something, where he drew all the art and the flyers and the promo video, and then certain nights, if you own his NFT, you get in and get this special VIP thing at one of the clubs. I don't know if it was Omnia or Tao or something, but I'm like, damn, that's and
crazy.
I love how they're, you know, linking the digital part of it with like
the
real life.
Exactly.
I think that's the key, you know, is like kind of like, or at least to get people to adopt to it more, to sort of show people like, look, it's not just like the metaverse where everything is digital. It's more, you know, it can be more about just being like a part of a club. You know, a club that you basically have ownership in. You get all these benefits and get to go to these events and meet these people, and, you know, it's just all about community. And I feel like same with Twitch and same with all these platforms that have done really well. Just like all about building the community and having that connection. Discord, like all these, you know, new ways that people can connect and create these communities and all benefit from it. You know?
Yeah, totally. Just to finish out the whole NFT community conversation thing, you know, something that had been discussed on another DJ podcast that I love, the Road Podcast. Shout out to my bros over there. But I know that there'd been a lot of DJ union talks, you know, and stuff like that. And like Crooked, you know, he left Scam. He's talking about going to another management company and DJ unions. And this has been a talk for 20 years. I feel like, you know,
about this for a while.
But I do feel like with it somehow is connected with the NFT and the community and all those things. And, you know, like, I don't I'm not saying there could be or couldn't be a DJ union. You know, I don't know enough about unions. I'm not like an expert. So it's just like a lot of things on the internet that I don't talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm not going to tell you, you know, but I do think that that's what I was saying with connecting the communities, at least in the metaverse thing or through these NFTs or cryptocurrency. There's a way to come together as DJs and show our power and how many DJs there are around the world. If we aren't able to pull off the DJ union, you know, maybe there's ways to do it within the metaverse or something.
I don't think that the blockchain technology is going to have much of a difference on whether a DJ union can come together or not.
Right.
I think that there's other obstacles with that. Like, you know, it's just, man, I don't know
how that would work. I mean, I encourage it and I would support it and I would do everything, but I just don't understand how it would work within our industry.
First of all, it would have to, you know, like all unions are like regional. You know what I mean? Like for the most part, I'm pretty sure like there's like a California
they have deals.
teachers union and there's like a Florida teachers union.
I think it would be the most connected or the most relatable to actors, right? Because actors are like DJs. There's the biggest, most famous ones. There's just working actors down to extras. And I guess some studios will go out of union and hire, but then they're not on good terms. I don't know how it all works, but it seems like that's the I was like trying to look at that. Like actors are the same as DJs, where anyone can do it.
Yeah,
they all do it. Some people do it for free and exposure, and some people get paid $1 million. You know, a minute.
I guess I would have to like probably research sort of like the Screen Actors Guild and the you know directors have a guild, like all these guilds. Yeah, and how you would sort of like apply that to the DJ world, but I don't know. It just seems like it's not that feasible. I think maybe like if they could try it somewhere, maybe in Vegas would be a good place to start.
Right.
You know?
But I wonder if all the clubs would just be like, fuck you, we're just going to not hire a union.
Of course they would. Because like business owners hate unions, you know, for the most part.
So it's so interesting, you know. And is Tiesto going to be in the union? You know what I mean? It's like
no, of course not. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think more importantly for DJs, like more importantly than the union, I think it's mostly about just education and like awareness of like, you know, what we should be doing, like in terms of setting up like a retirement plan, paying your taxes, like doing all that, like creating resources for DJs to be able to do all that, because really that is, I think, the sort of the worst part of being like a DJ and being self-employed and like being an independent contractor is like you don't get all those benefits of like working for a company, where, you know, you like they're kind of handling a lot of that stuff for you. So really just like awareness. I think podcasts, all these things have like helped a lot, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I think that's been like a great evolution in the DJ world, is like just people talking more about these things, and young DJs, even DJs that have been around for a while, like listen and like, oh, like, yeah, maybe I should like look into, you know, 401k or, you know,
I've learned a lot just from doing this podcast and interviewing people. And then people have hit me up like, damn, thank you, you know, and even, you know, Dazzler and different people at Beatsource have been doing these classes for people, you know, to learn from. And I think that's all important, and who knows how it'll pan out. I encourage it. I'm not trying to be cynical about it. You know, I just wonder how the hell would you pull that off?
No, I don't think it's possible. Even like now that I'm thinking about it, like with film, it's like, think about the budgets that are going into like film productions. You know what I mean? And like like to produce a TV show, produce a movie. It's like, there's so many people involved. Like, of course you have to kind of have like unions and organization, because like, it's just so many moving parts.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
With DJing, it's like, there's a booker at the club and like a DJ. And all these DJs are competing for like the same like couple gigs or whatever it is.
Right.
One's going to undercut the other.
Yeah.
It's just like,
even in a show, you know? There's 100 actors. You know what I mean? There's not 100 DJs.
Yeah. No,
I guess at a festival, who knows? Look, whoever can come up with an idea or pull it off, more power to you. Yeah. I'd love to discuss it more.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I just wondered if, you know, like, that's what I was thinking on the other side of things. Like, And I've been trying to plan ways to connect people on the metaverse and crypto side of things, because maybe there's ways with that, and we're doing it through Twitch and building these communities. So maybe as we keep building
if you build like on Roblox or
and then seeing my son do that on Roblox, and then I've been in Decentraland messing around and DJ'd in a casino, and
in those environments where it's like you're kind of like, again, a part of the community and you're dictating the rules, it's easier to sort of say, okay, like the DJs that are playing on this platform have to make a certain amount, or like you kind of can like, I guess, have a little bit more leverage in that way. But in the real world, no.
Yeah. What about, like you said, you're curating the DJs? Is that what you meant at Off Sunset?
Oh yeah. So that new club is in the original Hyde space, which if you're born and raised in LA, was a very special club.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know, kind of like the last of the Mohicans club before social media and the internet and bottle service kind of like became this whole huge thing. I mean, they had bottle service, but like it wasn't like
different.
Yeah, anyone could just come and buy a table. Like you had to know Brent or Jen or AM or whoever was like DJing there. So they reopened the club. It was dark for a long time. It was like I don't know, like 7,
because they made
maybe
the more big mega club of Hyde down the street.
They expanded Hyde to the bigger one across the street. Club. Then they have the one at Staples Center. They have the one in Miami.
It's a brand now.
It's a huge, like worldwide brand. And they have the hotels, Hyde hotels now too.
Oh, wow.
But it all started in this one,
tiny
100-person room.
Tiny, yeah.
So they reopened it in August of 2021.
Okay.
And a few of my buddies are like the partners there.
Okay.
And we really kind of set out to create some of that like magic from those days, starting with no social media. So like when you walk in, they put stickers on the cameras on your phones. So you can't actually film. And if like they see you filming, like you just like won't be invited back. It's very strict guest list only.
I've seen a couple people post pictures from there. I'm like, why are you doing that?
I mean, like, you can't like fully 100% regulate it, but like, you
Dave Chappelle it, like put it in that magnetic pouch.
Yeah. And like, it's just kind of like when people get there, it's like, okay, so it's like, let's just have a good time and like listen to the music, have some drinks and like socialize.
Right.
And
if you just go with the rules, you will have a better time. Yeah. It's guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. So that, started with that. And then as far as like the music goes, we just like, again, it's a 100-person room. So it's not like, there's no like big dance floor. It's basically like all tables.
Yeah.
And we just really wanted to create a space for people with, good taste, high musical IQ, creatives, whether it's artists, songwriters, actors, like I won't even name names, but like some very, A-list dudes that haven't gone out in a long time, that don't go out because they don't like being photographed and they don't like people filming them in the club and all that stuff.
Right.
Have been coming and even telling me, thanks so much for this music. It reminds us of when we were going out in LA in the,
That's great. Like what kind of stuff are you playing?
Like, and by the way, I play the whole night. So like whenever I'm DJing, I play the whole night, and any DJs that I book there, there's no openers. Like,
right.
It's not how it is. Like, because
that's what it used to be like there though. And it was fun because you set the whole night up. You had new music you just got, you wanted to share with people. You had remixes you had everything.
And you really just have to build the vibe of the night. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
by 1 a.m. you are like just as in touch with the night as the crowd, rather than like, all right, I'm about to jump on.
Yeah, I mean, you're telling a story, and you're just like building. You got to ease into it. I mean, that's what DJing really is all about. I mean, until like we got these big stages and stuff where you're just like going on at 1 a.m. and just fucking confetti and all that shit like we talked about. But there, it's been very much classic hip hop, 80s funk, like early on, like just like funk, soul. Classic rock, disco, like classic pop records, just like nostalgic fun.
Oh man, I
fun
love
stuff.
it. I gotta come through.
Yeah, it's we're very specific with the format, and really it's only like a handful of DJs that have been playing there, and people love it. I run into people that don't even know that I'm doing the music there, and like, the name will come up and like, oh, I love the music there. Like it's so refreshing, to not hear the same 60 songs you hear everywhere else.
Yeah.
And yeah, we do still play like new music. Like I play new music there too.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I understand. It was the same way we used to do it. You do it at the right time and place and the right way. And
yeah. And it's been great. It's been really fun. It's like been fun for me because I get to just like play in one place and, you know, not have to like worry about playing in all these different clubs and like inviting people and dealing with
different set. Oh, at this spot they do this. At this spot they do this.
Exactly. And like, you know, it's just been great to be able to sort of have a place where I can really showcase, you know, like what I feel music should be in a city like LA, where you have a lot of like really tasteful, cool people that used to go out all the time.
Yeah.
And now it's like very rare. I mean, it's like you have these parties like Shaba and like that party you were talking about.
Yeah, Electric Fields. There's all these themed parties that are super dope. You know?
And the cool kids are going to those parties.
Yeah, you're right.
They don't want to go to like this bottle service stuff.
And there's not that many bottle service clubs. I mean, they've been taken over by pretty much, you know, just one or two companies in a way.
And that's the thing is
and they do a great job for people that want to experience that and have never experienced that. But if you've already been through all that and you want the other thing, then
this venue's like a happy medium. It's kind of, it has the bottle service and it still gets that energy of, if like I feel that same energy that I would feel if I was playing at like a bigger club in LA.
Right.
But it's like just a little bit more like tasteful. It's a little bit like less about the sparklers and like, you know, like playing like the biggest, newest rap songs. It's just like almost like a time warp.
Right.
Go there and you're just like, okay, I'm going to like hear some shit I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, we like taking risks and like it's no pressure. That's the thing. Like when you play in a big club and are sort of like expected to play all the hits and like really, you know, stick to that like top 40 format.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it puts pressure on DJs to like not take risks.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like there, I'm like, I want to play a Tribe Called Quest song at 1:15. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And people are going to love it. And that's just like such a cool thing to me. And we've really like stuck with that, you know? And would love to have you come play because you would totally like get it. You know?
I'm going to.
Yeah. We'll figure that out when we finish
For
this.
sure.
Yeah.
What man, so that sounds like one of the coolest new clubs in LA.
Yeah.
The other thing I feel like you always know about, just judging from your Instagram, is like the best new sandwich places. Like,
oh man,
what's the new spot that I need to try?
New spot?
I don't know. You're always posting some crazy sandwich where I'm like, I need to find that.
I mean, Larchmont.
Yeah, Larchmont's the spot.
Still the bread there I think is still the best.
Yes.
All about the bread.
All about the bread and Bay Cities.
Bay Cities, of course. But, you know, that's...
I saw you posting some other place I didn't go, though. What was it? Carla's? Oh, no, that Daughter's Deli.
Daughter's Deli is incredible.
That's the spot.
So, yeah,
it's the Langers. It's the daughter of
Langers,
the person from Langers, right?
Yeah, it's right in West Hollywood, so it's close to, like, going to Langers is just such a mission. But
oh, my God.
Langers is classic.
Langers,
by the way,
yeah.
Greenblatt's, which is right next to Off
Yes,
Sunset.
I was going to mention that.
The club.
It's out of business.
Yeah. Well, it's not even out of business. It's, I guess the owners of that building, like, just were over, because I think the owners of the building also owned Greenblatt's or something.
Oh.
I want to say. And they were just like,
the whole building's like connected, like the Laugh Factory and Hyde. And
they were just like kind of over like running it. I think it was just.
Well, the pandemic.
I would assume it's probably just because it's so hard to find employees now and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And they were just like, you know what?
That sucks.
Screw it.
My whole life, like I was going there.
Yeah, the Greenblatt's was incredible. And now, especially because I'm like next door so much at that club, you know, like not having that there.
I know.
Sucks.
You're like, let's go get a pastrami sandwich.
Yeah.
Damn. Crazy.
Uncle Paulie's too is good.
Oh, Uncle Paulie's.
Yeah.
Yo, I live in the Valley now, so we're about to get one like right down the street from my house.
Crazy. He was actually just at the club. He was just at Off Sunset. We were talking about it. He just opened.
Who? Which?
Paulie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was. They just opened one on 3rd Street, and Crescent Heights, like right by the car wash right there.
I saw. That's so dope. And then there's one with a sign up in Studio City. I drive by it every day, and I'm like, please open. I met one of the other dudes from there. His Instagram's Rose Rosenberg or whatever, but I forgot his name, John. Yeah. But I met him he was at Electric Fields, hanging with Mike B, and we all knew all the same people. I'm like, how do I not know you? So
that whole crew's like been in the mix.
Yeah.
From New York too. Like, a lot of the New York guys, like him and Jesse, go way back.
Right. Okay.
Paulie and Jesse.
Yeah. Uncle Paulie's is that's the spot. And I mean, now everyone just wants to wear their hat.
Yeah. Well, Travis Scott started wearing.
It's like John
merch.
and Vinny's and Uncle Paulie's are like the food places to have their clothes on. Ever since Jay-Z and Travis
By the way,
Scott.
I love like restaurant merch. I think
the best.
I always buy it.
Yeah.
Any restaurant that I really fuck with, they have merch. Like always buy it.
I know. Even JCO, shout out to JCO. He opened a pizza place, Gorilla Pies.
I still need to go there.
Oh, you got to go.
It's
great.
To go there.
But I have his shirt. I'll wear it on the next podcast. I always wear it around. You know, people are like, is that a real spot? I'm like, yes, you got to go. Yeah, restaurant merch is the best. Yeah. Restaurant merch or like merch from like an island or something, like Hanalei, Kauai or something like that. Amazing. Well, I mean, I got to get back and let my wife go out to dinner and hang out with my son and show him, highlights.
Get him back in the metaverse.
I got to get him back. I'm sure he's in the metaverse right this second. I'm sure he's home and doing some sort of Roblox. He's been teaching me all about it. Like, I was like, damn, I knew some, but I'm like, wow. Now I see where it made me want to buy stock in Roblox too, because I'm like, this is the future. I mean, it's insane.
Well, now that you mention it, I'm going to look into it because,
all his friends.
Right? You could like buy the coin.
You can buy Robux, but no, they're in the stock market.
Oh, it's publicly traded.
Yeah, it's public.
Oh, okay.
It's not crypto at all. Yeah. It's the opposite of Web3 crypto, even though it is the metaverse, like it's all this shit is crazy. Like I'm gonna become an avatar. I'm sending all these pictures of myself to these people in Berlin, and there's this company, Yabal, and they're gonna do a music festival in the metaverse. They've built this thing. I went in. It looks like Fortnite. It's a massive world, and he's like, you can fly over there, and your club's gonna be in that island.
Built on Roblox.
No, it's built in his own thing. It's called Yabal, and they're gonna have this music festival, and I'm gonna be an avatar, and I'm gonna DJ in this room in this place. And we were talking today about it, and it's gonna be this summer. But it's you have to get a NFT wristband that you mint on Polygon, and it's super cheap too. It's like that's the thing. Everyone's all greedy in the NFT world now, but it's like maybe $30 or whatever it is, and then it triggers, like if you have that on your avatar in the metaverse, in his metaverse, and you have the NFT, then you're allowed to come in the club and watch me DJ, and it's nuts. But that's the, like, I guess, decentralized, or I don't know if it would be called decentralized, but the Web3 version. But then there's Roblox and even what Facebook Meta is building, and Fortnite, that's all the other side of it. But Roblox, you can buy the stock if you believe in it. I think that's...
I mean, now I'm going to look into it if that's all the little kids are doing. Well,
so all of his friends, they're trading with each other. They're playing it. They play games. How many pets do you have in Pet Simulator? How many things do you have in this? And, I want to build a business, and I'm going here. And he went into the LeBron James world, and he was trying to get the shoes, and he was excited when he got the shoes. And that's when I was like, telling my wife, I'm like, you need to design virtual clothes because our son is working to get virtual clothing right now. Like, this is crazy. And he has, but he doesn't have a self-custody digital wallet for NFTs. It's like the Roblox thing, and he's more hyped on, like, I want to get Robux. Like, he went to a kid's birthday party and bought him Robux for the present.
Oh, wow.
And the kid was hyped on it. Real. And then the kid gets to go in and spend the Robux how he wants,
So all the kids are on Roblox.
Yeah. I mean, at least all these kids, that I've seen.
I feel like that's a fun part of, like, being a dad, like a young dad.
Yeah.
Who's like, you're very tech savvy and you're still very active with your own stuff, is you kind of get this, like, perspective from kids that, like, no one else, like, I don't hang out with, like,
Right.
How old is
He's 9. So
9, yeah.
And that's why a lot of my friends that don't understand, like, oh, he must be on TikTok all day. I'm like, hell no. I will never let him look at TikTok. You know what I mean? He's 9. Like, he's still a little kid, like TikTok's way older.
Yeah. But now you can kind of just use.
But I get to see. But he is starting to know. Like he said, he months ago was like, yo, like put on NBA YoungBoy this song, Right Foot Creep. And I'm like, what is that? And I put it on. He goes, everyone does the gritty to that. I'm like, what's the gritty? So like then we're learning how to do the dance, the gritty. Now every Instagram and TikTok I see, people are putting on the NBA YoungBoy song, doing the gritty, and like Ja Morant's doing it, and like every athlete. And even yesterday, my son's like, see, I told you about it. And I'm like, you did.
There you go.
Like literally you were so ahead of the game.
He's ahead on.
And now seeing
trends.
with Roblox, I'm like, okay, this is why Mark Zuckerberg and all those people are like, we need to pivot to this, because they're seeing that there's elements of it that will be. And then all the decentralized Web3 people want to do it for their own reasons. Yeah. But yeah, I'm like, I need to buy some Roblox stock. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think, should probably get home and get some more.
I'm going to
inside scoop.
I'm going to get some inside scoop. I'll tell you.
And let me know what
let my wife go to dinner.
To buy. Yeah. It's amazing how the kids are going to be telling us what stocks to buy soon.
Well, he wants to do that. I mean, my nephew has a thing called Stock Simulator, or like the stock game, and he does crazy stock market moves that isn't real, but he learns from
stocks.
it. Yeah, it's fantasy stock. And then my son's so into it. My son, I'm like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And he's like, I'm going to be a professional soccer player and a businessman. I'm like, what? So that's what he wants to do. He loves Shark Tank. He loves these business things.
I love that.
We were watching Storage Wars last night, and he couldn't believe that they bought the storage space for $120 and made $850 by selling the dresser drawers and the Magic Johnson card they found, and he was like, I got to see how much they're going to make, and I'm like, this is nuts.
This gives me hope of, like kids aren't like doomed from all this digital crazy world we live in now.
Not at all. We're not doomed at all.
You've been raising Jude in like a cool way where it's like, you give them the freedom to do a lot of that stuff, but also.
And everyone wants everything to be black and white, and kids suck. Everything sucks. Music's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, yesterday, what did he do? He watched a video on YouTube. He probably played on Roblox with his friend. Then we went to the park. We played basketball for an hour. You know what I mean? It's like everything it's all over the place. We watched American Idol, which was actually so much fun to watch with him, because he's starting to see, people trying out. And he's like, they're a good singer. They're not.
Yeah,
and
love that.
It's all of it. Like, life is just constant evolution, and I don't think anything has died off, or DJs are done, or hip hop sucks. Like, everything is dope. Teaching him about diggable planets was really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm sure his music taste is going to be very good.
Yeah, it's all he can sing Scenario all the way, and he can sing NBA YoungBoy.
That's
and some
crazy.
people are going to be pissed at me that I play him that, but it's like, I want him to feel the freedom, to have all of it. And one day he might want to DJ, and one day he might not. But I do want to teach it to him, just for like, just in case you need to make money, you can go play at a bar if you got this skill.
Exactly.
But thank you for being the first guest to come on for a second time. Really appreciate it. And pleasure. So good to catch up with you and, hear about all the stuff you've been working on. And is there anything else you want to talk about that people should look out for that you have coming soon, like that remix and stuff like that?
Yeah, nothing in particular. Just, I guess, just my socials, just kind of like pay attention of whatever I'm posting on there, I guess.
Yeah, pay attention to this.
But yeah, music and I don't know, all different types of things on the horizon. So thanks for having me again.
Of course, man. Anytime. You're gonna be the third guest too, I'm sure. Man. Coming up in 2 more years, there'll be a whole new pandemic.
Hopefully no more pandemics.
Oh my God, please.
Yeah.
DJ Politik, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone check him. That's his on all the socials.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Yep.
All right. I'll see you at Off Sunset tomorrow night.
Let's talk about that right after this.
Yes. All right. Peace. All right. Thank you, Politik, for coming on the show. That was so much fun getting to catch up with you again and hear what you've been doing and talk about what we think the future holds and all that. I learned a lot, as always. Thank you guys, the Beatsourcers, for tuning in week after week. Make sure you rate and review the podcast, and send me a message on Instagram if you want to talk to me at DJ Spider, DJ Spider. Thank you to Beatsource. The 20 podcast is produced by Beatsource. Join us next week for more interviews as we discuss music that matters to DJs. I'm DJ Spider signing off. Peace.